The last type of cadence that we need to know about is this thing called the interrupted cadence. Interrupted cadence. And why do we call it the interrupted cadence? Well, it's because it's a cadence that sets us up expecting one thing and in fact interrupts that thing to give us something else. So the thing that it sets us up to expect is a perfect cadence. And as we said, a perfect cadence is when we move from chord 5 to chord 1. Now, in an interrupted cadence, what happens is we say, well, we're not going to give you what you expect. We're not going to give you chord 1. We're going to give you chord 6 instead. And so while we start the cadence the same way, on chord 5, we change the path, we change the course of the harmony so that we finish on chord 6. Now the effect of that is a real surprise. The colour that we get from chord 6 is very different to the colour of harmony we would expect to get from chord 1. And so this is a really good tool to use to play on your audience's expectations, where they might be expecting a nice, finished, complete, perfect cadence, and instead you just turn the corner and give them chord 6, which is a real surprise and not something they would have been expecting. Let's just have a listen to a couple of interrupted cadences, one in a major key and one in a minor key. And the reason that I am going to do two examples is because they have a slightly different sound. In a major key, we're moving from chord 5, which is always major, to chord 6, which is always minor. And in a minor key, don't forget chord 5 is always major because we're sharpening the 7th of the scale to give us our chord 5, and chord 6 is also major. But because we've been working in a minor key, we've got that darker minor key colour in the music, and so the arrival of this major chord, where we would have been expecting the minor chord of chord 1, because of course chord 1 is always minor in a minor key, that just is another way of changing the colour of the music and giving us an unexpected surprise. So here are two examples showing the surprise of an interrupted cadence. And so I hope you'll agree that the arrival of chord 6 is a really surprising sound, not expected, and it's a really good way for us to play with the expectations of our audience and fool them into thinking that we're going to give them a normal perfect cadence, but instead leave the phrase incomplete and slightly derailed, if you like, and then we can put in something that does complete the phrase. So I'll just play the example again, but this time I will add, after my interrupted cadence, a completing phrase ending in a perfect cadence to finish off the phrase in a kind of satisfactory way. And so there are the four cadences that we're most likely to find in any piece of music. We've got these cadences that help complete things and make them sound finished, like the perfect cadence and the plagal cadence. And then we've got these things that help us just bring something to a close, but not in such a definitive way, which suggests there's more to come and we should expect the next bit of music to come along pretty soon. Those are the imperfect cadence and this interrupted cadence that we've just been looking at. So hopefully you'll be able to start listening out for some of these cadences in music. Most of them will be perfect cadences. These are the most commonly used cadence that we'll find, but you may hear people throwing in the odd surprising imperfect cadence or interrupted cadence as well.